Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Welcome everyone to the Lama Life livestream event of Lama Tsultrim Allione. I'm Drimé and I'm connecting with you all the way from Warsaw, Poland. And it's always such a pleasure to open this event for you, whether you're watching it live or later through the recording. Hello, hello. Before I turn it over to Lama Tsultrim, I'd like to invite you to join the Taramandala Global Sangha this Tuesday, March 7th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, as we will celebrate an important Buddhist holiday called Chotrul Dzogchen, known as the Day of Miracles, with teachings and meditations led by Lama Tsultrim Allione. During Chotrul Dzogchen, it's believed that the effects of both positive and negative actions are multiplied 10 million times. This event is open to all, and there is no registration required. It will be available on the Taramandala YouTube channel and our Facebook pages. I'll post the link in the chat shortly. And now, it's my very great pleasure to hand over to Lama Tsultrim Allione. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Greetings wherever you are. I want to invite you to write into the chat where you're coming in from. I'd love to get a sense of who's out there. And I see someone from Germany, Oregon, Winter Harbor, Maine. Probably pretty chilly up there. Michigan, probably chilly there too. And someone from Indiana. I'd love to just feel you out there. Massachusetts, and for you to feel each other. California, there's a bunch coming in. UK, Canada, Seattle. When I moved back from India to the United States in 1973, I moved to Seattle, and it was one of the few places in this country where there were Tibetans. And the Tibetans always called it Seattle La. The La is sort of like Indian G, like you put it on the end of names. There's a kind of respect and affection for it. So, there's someone from Mexico and Berlin, Santa Fe, and, Carol, nice. California, France, wow. So let's take a moment and feel this web that we are connecting with right now. There's people from Mexico, people from Germany, Montana, and New Mexico, Whidbey Island, Erica. So let's generate bodhicitta with all this etheric web and really feel the power of our intentions joining together to be together now for the benefit of beings. Sharing that heartfelt intention, not just a thought, but actually feeling that in your heart. The longing to be of benefit, the longing to help the world, and recognizing that it's through our own heartfelt awakening that we can do that. I feel that. I feel the web forming. Thank you. I'm back in Encinitas, California now from Costa Rica, where I've been for the last 2 months, and just received some teachings, several days of teachings from the 6th Sogan Rinpoche, who was trained in Tibet by Khenpo Munsal, a really very remarkable yogi. And Sogan Rinpoche did extensive retreat in Tibet under his guidance, and then eventually escaped to India in 1991, went to Dharamsala, and was really taken under the wing of the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama supported his retreat for many years. So he stayed on the roof of His Holiness Monastery and just stayed in retreat and practiced for many years, and then eventually was sent here by His Holiness to learn English. And he's done a lot of work with His Holiness, and it was a special time in our Tara temple here in Encinitas. And during that time, he agreed to teach at Tara Mandala on site. This summer, he's going to teach a retreat on Sera Khandro, this Sheldom of Sera Khandro, which this all just happened, so I just wanted to let you all know about it. It will be from the 13th to the 20th of August. And these Sheldom are her profound personal instructions. Some were written to her own teacher, Drimé. Some were written to her students. Some are specific meditation advice, and some are more general. And there's many Dzogchen teachings amongst them. And we have as our translator, Christina Munson, who is translating the whole collected works of Sera Khandro, particularly the Sheldom. And that book is going to be coming out with Shambhala soon. She's delivering the manuscript April 1st. So this summer he'll be teaching from the Sheldom at Tara Mandala, the 13th to the 20th of August. And that's pretty exciting because we're just starting to have retreats on the land again. This will be an open retreat, no prerequisites. So just wanted to let you know about that. Yeah, I'm not sure if he would allow it to be webcast, the retreat, but that's certainly something that we could ask. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing the last couple of days, and being in what's considered to be cold here in California, which is in the 50s. Not sure what that is Celsius, so maybe somebody can figure that out. I think it's like in the teens somewhere. So I thought I would teach a little bit more from the Semde Teachings of the early lineage holders of the Semde series of Dzogchen. It was the first series of Dzogchen to be transmitted, and it means Sem is mind and De is series, and it's short for Changchup Sem. Changchup Sem is usually translated as Bodhicitta mind. However, in Dzogchen, Changchup Sem really has the meaning of our primordial state. And Namkha Norpa Rinpoche, who taught these teachings and spoke a lot about Semde, emphasized that Changchup Sem has a different meaning in Dzogchen than it does in Mahayana. In Mahayana, there's relative and absolute bodhicitta. What we just generated at the beginning of our session is relative bodhicitta, and absolute bodhicitta is the uncontrived absolute state. However, in Dzogchen, Changchup Sem is our primordial state. And that primordial state is already awake. It's not something that is cultivated or developed. It's more that it is revealed or uncovered. The obscurations to it are removed. A common metaphor for that is the clouds are removed from the front, from covering the sun, and therefore the sun can shine, or it appears to start shining when the clouds are removed, but actually the sun has always been shining. It's just been unable to be perceived because of the clouds. And so that's our true nature. And so this piece that I want to do today is from the son of King Dahantalo, who received the teachings from Manjushri Mitra, who was the main disciple of Garp Dorje. But a lot of these early Semde teachers also lived at the time of Garp Dorje, who was the first human to receive Dzogchen teachings on this earth, according to the Buddhist system. The Bun system received them probably before this. Bun is the pre-Buddhist tradition, which has a whole tradition of Dzogchen. So Garp Dorje was called the Crystal Child. He started teaching when he was 8 years old. He debated with the Pandits and defeated them at the age of 8. And he received teaching directly from Vajrasattva, from the Sambhogakaya. And then he had various students, and King Dahantala was one of them. And then there were several others that were there at the same time, including this prince whose name was Thuwo Rajahati or Rajahati. And so first there's a teaching of Dahantalo to Thuwo Rajahati about the 5 elements, which I've taught before on Lama Live. And so this begins that Dahantalo's son, Thuwo Rajahati, realized the meaning, the ultimate nature of mind manifests in the 5 elements. And then what he realized was that Bodhicitta mind is the Buddhas of the 3 times. So remember what I just said about Bodhicitta. This is the awake state that is ever present within us. So let's take a moment and try to feel that state, that awakeness that is within us. How? How do you do that? With your mind, your awareness. Imagine that awareness, that sort of ordinary awareness that we have, that's perceiving the room that you're in, hearing my voice, etc. That awareness turns away from the sense perceptions and turns toward itself, toward its original face. So awareness of awareness. Turn mind to look at itself. One of the ways this is described is seeing your own face. Rang Moshe in Tibetan. Seeing your own face. When you turn awareness to see awareness, what happens? What is your experience? Someone wrote, Tara wrote, Shimpa, letting go happens. Mindfulness, break habitual patterns that no longer serve you. Yeah. It's different than mindfulness. Mindfulness is Drempa in Tibetan. With Drempa, you're using that mind to track the mind. In other words, or to track whatever you're doing. You're cutting carrots in the kitchen. Drempa is the ability to stay present with that very act and be there. Completely be there. Not be distracted. This practice is what Tara said, the first words, letting go. So you turn, you look, you don't find anything, and you let go into that. No thing, yet there's cognizance, there's awareness. And that no thing is vast. No center, no fringe. Turn awareness to see awareness. And then rest. Rest. Yeah. Becoming aware of bodily sensation and then noticing something below that. Boundlessness. Beyond the material world. Yeah. Stardust, I like that. Yes, it is Prajnaparamita. It's called the Great Mother. It's called the womb of the Great Mother. Yum Chemmo Kibaga. And it has this feminine reference point often. The womb, the Great Mother, Prajnaparamita. Why? Why feminine? It's so genderless as an experience. It's given that feminine gender because of its potentiality to give birth to phenomena, appearances. Does anyone feel bliss in your body when you do this? If you do, that's because your true condition is bliss. So one of the questions I got for this Lama Live, you can send in questions. And one of the questions was, could you talk a little bit about the cultivation of joy in the path of Buddhism? And I immediately thought about the great joy, Mahasukha. That is the experience. Yes, some people are saying yes, warmth. And some people, yes, bliss. Not today, some other days, yeah. Okay, so why do we feel bliss? What is that? It is the lung, the prana, going into the central channel. We have two side channels, Roma and Kyongma, and we have a central channel. It goes through the center of our body. It's not the spine. It's not at the back like the spine is. It's in the center. And when the lung or the prana or the motility factor enters that, there is a natural experience of Mahasukha, and bliss without reference point. You're not happy because something good happened. You're not happy because you're experiencing some kind of pleasure that's related to something external. It's in your body, in your subtle body, and it's your true condition. And you asked, it was Isadora, the name of the person that asked this question. So Isadora, this isn't exactly something that you cultivate, because it really occurs when we're not cultivating something, when we're allowing awareness to rest in itself. It's natural, a natural state. I'll go on with this teaching. So he said, Bodhicitta mind is the Buddhas of the three times. So there was a Buddha in the past, actually several Buddhas in the past. The present Buddha is considered to be Shakyamuni, the one who lived 500 BC. And then a future Buddha is Maitreya. So this, he's saying to Rajahati, he's saying that Bodhicitta, mind, Changchupsem, is the Buddhas of the three times. It is those Buddhas. In other words, in a sense, those Buddhas are nothing other than this. Past Buddhas all come from it. That's what he says next. Past Buddhas all come from it. In other words, they were born out of this experience of their true condition. So let's feel into those past Buddhas for a moment. Dipankara is the name of one of them. How did they become Buddhas? Through the realization of the primordial state. And the stabilization of that realization. Yeah. And then the next line is, Buddhas of the present come from it. So let's think about our Buddha, this era, Shakyamuni, woke up under the Bodhi tree with the goddess of the earth supporting him from below. And the goddess of the trees, the Yakshinis, the Bodhi tree above. And he awakened to his Changchupsem. When someone wakes up to this, it's like the world changes. The world was changed by the Buddha becoming the Buddha. Think of the impact that that one life had, still having, echoing out into the present moment. And then future Buddhas will come from it. The Buddhas in the future will come from this. Of course, what else could they come from? Let's feel those Buddhas for a moment. The future Buddha Maitreya said to sit on a chair, not cross-legged, which is interesting because most of the world is sitting in chairs now. Previously, that wasn't true. So let's feel those future Buddhas. What will they awaken to, and what will cause them to awaken? Changchupsam, Bodhicitta mind. And then the next line is the realization of the Buddhas of the three times. The realization of the Buddhas of the three times is your own mind. Rang Sem Yin. Rang is own, your own. Sem is mind. Rang can also mean innate or inherent. So the innate mind. So that means that this idea of enlightened mind that we tend to think belongs to someone else or someone else's experience, like the Buddha. But it's very far from me, from my experience. Actually, it's not. It's completely accessible. It's your own mind. And not that thinking brain mind. That's the mind that's like one of the five senses, like hearing or tasting. Thinking is one of those senses. But what's under that thinking mind? That consciousness. And that consciousness has no edges. It's not that it ends in your own body or it has a limit of your body. It exists before your body and will continue to exist after your body. And it's unchanging, unconditioned. Unborn, unceasing. Let's take a moment and feel into that. Your own mind. Your own awareness. Consciousness. Someone's asking what I'm reading from, but I'm actually it has been translated as the Supreme Source, but I've actually been doing my own translation of it, looking at it again. And so this is not published yet. So then it says, then the Prince Thuwo Rajahati perfectly understood the meaning of the primordial state, that would be Changchupsam, and expressed his realization thus: I am Prince Thuwo Rajahati. That's his name. Okay, so this is some of these words for me, just the words are almost like a trigger for awareness. And one of those for me is Rang Rig. Rig is Rigpa, awareness. And then Rang is self or innate or inherent. So Rang Rig is actually that reflexive action that we just did, and maybe you're still doing it, where the mind looks at the mind, or awareness of awareness. The way that I translate this is self-cognizant. So self-cognizant, unborn, and that word unborn is so profound. Because if something's not born, it doesn't cease. So that means it's outside of conditioned existence. My body was born. Your body was born. My dog's body was born. The tree in my backyard was born. And so it's conditioned. My body is conditioned to die. Like it just has its lifespan, and then those elements that have been drawn together will fall apart and become a corpse. This is not that. This is not conditioned like that. It's kind of beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful that there is this. And when we let go of trying to make things permanent that aren't, then we can experience this. But if we're spending all of our time trying to make things permanent that are impermanent, then we miss the opportunity to experience our true nature. So, unborn Bodhicitta mind realization. So that's the words that he uses. Self-cognizant, Rangrik, Keme, unborn, Changchupsam, this awakeness of the universe, Tukpai, to realize that. It's profound, right? The profound words. Rangrik, Keme, unborn. And then Changchup Sem, to know it. To know the unborn, unconditioned, self-cognizing. So that's a unique quality of awareness, is that it can be known by itself. And that's Rangrik. And then he says, I have become a lineage holder of Samantabhadra Vajrasattva. So what he's referring to is Samantabhadra is the primordial Buddha, usually portrayed as being naked because it's naked awareness, and it's really not a Buddha, like a historical Buddha, and not even a Sambhogakaya level Buddha, which is the pure dimension being. Samantabhadra's more original than that. More original, meaning Samantabhadra is the awake quality of the mind. And so they say Samantabhadri, or the female primordial Buddha, is this ground of being, Prajnaparamita, Yumchenmo, the Great Mother. That's Samantabhadri. She's the naked Dharmakaya, meaning formless, female. Ground, the ground of being. Samantabhadra, the male, is the quality of awareness that radiates from that ground of being. However, Samantabhadra, because it's Buddhahood, recognizes the ground and recognizes all appearances as inseparable from the ground, and therefore returns into union with that ground. And that's why they are depicted in Yabyum, in sexual union, because the moment that Samantabhadra, the masculine, recognizes that ground, they're in union. They're inseparable. They're non-dual. So he says, Samantabhadra Vajrasattva. Vajrasattva is in the Sambhogakaya, or the dimension of luminosity, where there's form. This is the dimension of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that we don't see in our dimension, but they're there. It's a pure dimension, an awakened dimension. And it is from that awakened dimension that these teachings came. And the one that brought them to Garab Dorje was Vajrasattva. And so what he's saying here is he's holding that lineage from Samantabhadra to Vajrasattva to Manjushri Mitra through Garab Dorje and his father, King Dahantalo. So he's claiming his heritage as that. That's a pretty good family tree, right? And really, that's all of our family tree. You know, we think we have these ancestors and so on, and of course we do genetically, but in terms of our true condition, this is our heritage. These are our ancestors. So you can claim that. The other beautiful thing about this is that it's unstained. So Bodhicitta, Changchupsem, cannot be stained. So if you've experienced trauma or abuse, perhaps sexual abuse or something like that, where you end up feeling polluted, you end up feeling dirty, maybe through rape or just other ways that you just feel like you're sort of fundamentally stained, you should know that you're not. That your true condition is unstainable. And you can feel that in yourself. You can feel that beautiful, bright, awake, open, unconditioned awareness. And you can claim that as your true nature and let go of feeling stained or in some way not good enough. We're all primordially perfect from the beginning, the beginningless beginning, the unborn. So then what? Then he says, Buddha's 3 levels without gradual process all at once. So the 3 levels of the Buddha, the past, present, and the future, without gradual process attained. In other words, the 3 levels of Buddhahood are attained without gradual process. So one thing about these teachings is it's a non-gradual path. It's not like something that happens gradually and over time. Really, it's instantaneous. However, it's hard to stabilize this understanding or this experience. And so although it's instantaneous when we flash on it or have an experience, a nanosecond of awakeness, then we practice to stabilize that. And so he says, my realization is equal to the Buddhas of the 3 times. So we all have that equal realization. And that doesn't mean that you're inflated and egoically saying, I am enlightened, or I am equal to the Buddhas of the 3 times, so leave me alone. No. It's just that recognition that this awakeness is not something foreign. It's not something that belongs to someone else in history or in the future. It's here, right now. And even to say that it's here right now is actually not correct, because this experience is in deep time. And what the Tibetans call the fourth time, the fourth moment. It's actually, they have that word, the fourth time. Not past, not present, not future. It's the time out of time, deep time. Because how could something that has no beginning and no end, no edge, no center, be in time, be conditioned by time? Couldn't be. This is your mother. This is your primordial mother. Somebody said, please explain stabilization, Vajrasattva, clinging. I'm not sure what that means. You're clinging to Vajrasattva? Or, yeah, no. This stabilization means, what I mean by that is that we develop, I guess you could say, a habit, because a habit is something that we repeatedly do. We develop a habit of resting in self-cognizing Changchupsem, naked awareness. And what that means is, first we learn how to go there, or rest there. Rest is an important word because it is effortless. The state is effortless. It's not clinging. Opposite of clinging. So we find our way there and then rest there. There will be a tendency to leave, to develop thoughts, plans, or even ways to describe it, like, oh, this is like, or, oh, I could say this about it. As soon as you do that, you're not there. And that's why we say it's beyond words. But I'm trying to put words. And that's what the teachings do, try to put words to something, to take you to something beyond words. So let's take a moment and just rest in this, feel this. This is our heritage, like Thuwo Rajahati says. This is, he's owning this lineage. Samantabhadra Vajrasattva. This is also your lineage. And these are just names, Sanskrit names for something that's actually an experience. Just rest there. Machopa is another word that's used. Unfabricated. Uncorrected. Thank you. Arwen said, when you said fourth time is your mother, the most beautiful sensation of peace flooded my being. Yeah. Yeah. You know, when I was a nun and I was living in the Himalayas and above Manali, which is in Himachal Pradesh, the Indian Himalayas, I was reading a book. Somehow I got this book by Ouspensky, who was a student of Gurdjieff, who you may have heard of. And he was talking about the fourth time. And I was very struck by that. At the time, I was writing a journal and I wrote about it quite a bit because there was something about that notion that took me somewhere true. And then I didn't hear it again. I didn't hear that word for many, many years. And then recently I've heard it in Dzogchen teachings several times and seen it written. So I don't know if Gurdjieff received these teachings somehow. He was from that area where it could have been present. But in any case, the fourth time is the unconditioned time. And it is our mother because that space is another way that it's described, that womb of space, is what gives birth to everything. So I'd like to encourage you to rest in this, in your practice. Daily practice is very important. I once was, this was a long time ago, before I left living in New York State, so that was over 30 years ago. And I was receiving teaching from the son of Dudjom Rinpoche, Shenpen Dawa, who's deceased now. And I met with him afterwards, and he said to me, without daily practice, you'll never develop any power in your practice. At that time, I had 3 young children, and I was a single mother, and I couldn't imagine how we could do that. But I did it, because I understood it was true what he said. And so in your daily practice, do this. Someone asked, another question was, what is my life now in Encinitas? Encinitas, by the way, is where Yogananda wrote the autobiography of a yogi. If you don't know that book, you should know it. It's classic. So what did she say exactly? What's a typical day in your life? I can describe, in a way I don't have any typical days, but how I start the day is I open the door upstairs. There's a balcony. I open that door. I have a chair in front of it, and it's a big door. It's it's like a sliding glass door. So then I can see the sky, and I do that between 5 and 6 in the morning, So that day is just dawning, just becoming light. And so there's this process of, it's almost like the world is being born as it comes out of darkness. So I do this kind of practice that time. And then I go into my tantric practice, and I do different practices at different times. Lately, I've been practicing Machi Glaptrin's longevity practice, which I will teach in Europe this year and maybe somewhere else in the United States. It was a practice given to me in 2017 in Machi Glaptrin's cave in Bhutan. I just taught it in Costa Rica for the second time. I do that, or the trauma practice from Azam Rinpoche that we're doing in the Ozonintik. Once I've done those practices, then I go for a walk with my little dog, Tashi. Still pretty early. And then once I come back from that, then usually I just look at email and do a little bit of that. And then I have tried to block about 4 hours a day for writing, and that doesn't always happen. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, I go to the beach and I walk on the beach, and then I sit and practice with the sunset. Even if there's no real sunset, if it's cloudy, I still go, because there's something about the beach and being in that place where that body of water that goes all the way to Japan and Asia hits this land after all that distance. There's something about that the vastness of the ocean that is a very good trigger for this awareness of awareness. And being with the setting sun is also. So that's a little idea of what I do. And on Sunday, I do Lama Live most of the time. So it was great to be with you. I answered 2 of the questions that I got. I'll try to do more next time. And we will go on from here. It's great to be with you. And yeah, thank you, Erica. It's great you'll be here in Encinitas before long. And yeah, I'll see you at Chutral Duchen if you can come to that. Maybe they can put another link in. And I'm going to talk about that, the Day of Miracles and miracles in the Buddhist tradition, and some miracles that I have observed and some other stories that I've heard, but I've actually seen some miracles. What's the place of miracles in the Buddhist tradition? So beautiful to be with you. I'm sending you all a huge etheric hug. And yeah, lots of love, and let's dedicate the merit of our time together to benefit all beings everywhere, and particularly places where there's war and famine. And I'm thinking a lot about Turkey right now. Encourage you all to give money for the recovery of Turkey and Syria. And let's send our merit there. I just saw an image, a video of a dog that they recovered alive after 23 days in Turkey. And it seemed pretty fine. It's full of holding its head up, and yeah. So somehow there's still some survivors, but a lot of not survivors. So that's important also to do shitro, practice for the dead, for them. And that's a practice that I give the transmission for online, and we have a self-guided course you can do in that. That's a really good thing to learn. So, yeah. Lots of love to you all, and be well, and I'll see you next week. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lama Tsultrim, for these powerful and important teachings you have offered us today. Thank you so much. May they benefit us all and many, many other beings. Thank you. And thank you, dear audience, for your time, for your attention, and joy of coming together this way. Now I'd like to remind you that you can make a Dana offering to Lama Tsultrim in gratitude for our time together today. Dana is a word meaning generosity, and according to the Buddha, generosity is one of the central practices of a spiritual life. In the act of giving, we develop our ability to let go of attachment, cultivate an attitude of open sharing, and acknowledge the interconnectedness of all beings. Thank you, everyone. May we meet again and again on the path, and may all beings benefit everywhere.
Om tare tu re, Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re, Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re, Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re.